All right, hello and welcome to the Oasis 13. It is your host, Imani, and I got a very special guest. Okay, again, her name is Jasmine.
What's up?
And hey,
Mhm.
Jasmine, we went
What's
to Norfolk
good?
State together.
Yes.
So I got Jasmine up here because we about to talk about HBCUs.
Yeah.
HBCU life, HBCU experience, the importance of HBCUs, what
Yeah.
HBCUs bring to our community. Um, so stay tuned. But before we get into that, Jasmine, introduce yourself. You also have a podcast. Tell us about your podcast. And
Yeah.
yeah, tell us what you want us to know.
Okay. So, hey everyone. My name is Jasmine Forbes. I go by Sonny Forbes. Socially, as I'm trying to find my way into this whole media world. Just keep creating a barrier between the real me and the social me. But I am a grad from Norfolk State University, a double grad from Norfolk State University, where I also work there. So you want to talk about literally know their school like the back of my hand. It's crazy. So I bleed green and go. But I also have a podcast called Sunday School the Podcast, where it's life lessons at every session, keeping it real, talking about regular stuff. Like I actually started the podcast at Norfolk State. So it's just
Okay.
crazy how everything kind of comes full circle. The idea came from my environment or my lifestyle
Uh-huh.
at school and
Uh-huh.
stuff like that. So I just felt that in my position, being able to appeal to younger students or being able to have someone who has a level of maturity, who've been through the things they've been through, who can be able to execute a message for someone to understand it from my perspective. You may not
Mhm.
get it from your mother, you may not get it from your father, your professor, or
Right.
all these people who are wiser than you, but you may be able to get it from someone who can kind of meet you there. So that was the whole
Mhm.
point of it, just being honest, being organic, keeping it on it, and
Mhm.
talking about things that we need to talk about just to better
Right.
ourselves. Similar to you, for healing and for us to just kind of get past it.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, these things are therapeutic, being able to, if nobody's listening to you, at least being able to just talk about it
Just
and
get
get it
it
out.
out. Right. Yeah.
Really, just get it out. Yep.
Yeah. That sounds amazing. And again, it's always good to have Black voices from
Yeah,
everybody because everybody has a different perspective.
very
So
much.
yeah, y'all definitely check out her podcast. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't checked it out yet, but I
But you
am
will.
going to. I
There we go.
will.
That's all I
Okay.
need. All I literally, all I need is one episode.
Yeah.
And they like, yeah, I miss you. I'm like, you see what I'm saying? That's all
No,
I need. It's just one shot.
recommend us one that you would say is your favorite so far.
Okay. So right now I'm working towards my episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing this Faith Over Fear series. So I
Mm-hmm.
broke it up into 2 parts. So outside of my Faith Over Fear series, my favorite episode would probably be episode 4, which is Grateful. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of talking about taking a moment to just be grateful. When do we often, a lot of times we're grateful for things when things happen for us, or, you get some money, or, God gives you a blessing, or something goes right.
Mm-hmm.
But when are you grateful when something goes wrong? Or do
Mm-hmm.
you have to find reason or purpose to be grateful or happy for something? But I say that's probably my favorite one. That's episode 4. And then my Faith of a Fear series, episode 7 through 9. So
Okay.
those are definitely a message. So if you're having fear, anxiety of doing something that you feel like is your purpose, or you feel like you can't do it, or anything like
Mm-hmm.
doubts, whether it's a new job, a promotion, a boyfriend, anything,
Right.
faith is what you need.
All right. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Thank you for those recommendations. I'm gonna check it out.
Thank you, girl.
All right, and now let's get into the HBCU experience. And like Jasmine said, she went to Norfolk State, and she also worked at Norfolk State. So if anybody can tell us the experience,
I got
she got us.
you.
Okay.
I got you. Yep.
So yeah, let's talk about the importance of HBCUs because it's so funny sometimes when I talk to people who haven't, to Black people who didn't go, who chose not to go to an HBCU because
Mhm.
they may be not the stereotypical Black
Right.
person. And they were like, no, I would never go to an
Mm-hmm.
HBCU because I just feel like I wouldn't be accepted. And I just feel like there wouldn't be a space for me,
Right.
because okay, so the definition of HBCU is historically black colleges and universities.
Right.
So they had the same stereotype as other people have of us, of that, like, all Black people are a certain way.
Right.
But can tell us how not true that is going
Yeah,
to
no.
an HBCU. Like,
Everything I knew prior to going to Norfolk State reversed that for me. So far as my way of thinking. So like, I was one of those people that like kind of like HBCU. No, I don't want to go there. Like, not because in my mind it was instilled that like they were a notch under. You know what I'm saying? PWI. You know, PWIs, you know, these great schools, these big schools and things like that. So they were a notch under. Like, if you couldn't get into there, well, at least you can go here. Or if you can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could go here and transfer, like, the whole nine. So my experience has completely, literally, I was not one of those ones who wanted to go to HBCU. I was not one of those ones who had the education about HBCUs and the things that they offer. I was not one of those people. Literally, my mom made me apply to Norfolk State. I didn't know. We got to arguing over that. It was crazy. We were in the kitchen. I remember like we was yesterday. She was like, you need to apply because you need to have something to fall back. And that's what it was. It was like a fall back on type thing.
Wow.
It went from a fallback choice to I couldn't see myself any other place. And if it was any other place, it would have had to have been another HBCU. Like, I can't imagine, like, but the rumors, the stereotypes, now things are changing. Things are a lot more progressive with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, you know, or just like the Black culture being put on the forefront a lot more. We have celebrities wearing our clothing. We have celebrities kind of putting us out there. Funding that's coming from these major networks and things like that, or billionaires and millionaires and stuff like that who are funding these schools and kind of like pushing towards the whole memo of pro-Black, you know what I'm saying? So it's like now these HBCUs are people's first choices. These are where people want to go. But I know a lot of my generation, we were just like, unless you were like a legacy or something where you had family who went to these schools, who you grew up around the culture, you went to homecomings and stuff. But for someone like me, I had literally no idea. I knew nothing about Greek life. I knew nothing about other HBCUs. I knew absolutely nothing. And literally, like, years later, here I am. Like, 2011 is when I entered Norfolk State. So 10 years ago is like, I couldn't imagine it no other way. No way.
So like, tell us. So you said your perspective, like, before you went, was kind of like it was the type of underdog school. It wasn't your first choice. And now that you have experienced it thoroughly, how do you feel about it?
Oh, I advocate for HBCUs every single chance I get. And I honestly think that, like, you know, as you get older, you kind of start feeling more of your purpose. I think a piece of my purpose, a large chunk of my purpose, is just advocating for the education, like Black education, more so to speak. I'm an education advocate, period. You know, not to say that everyone has to go to school, but I do feel like college or higher education is an experience. It isn't just, you know, you walked out of school with more than just a degree. You know, you walk out of school with a better definition of yourself. Like, I think college does that, period. Or, you know what I'm saying, different tiers of like adulthood that you kind of enter when you leave high school. But like Norfolk State, like, I couldn't imagine it no other way. Like, that's exactly, I don't know. It's crazy because it's like, I told you, like, it was a backup choice at first. And now it's like the only education that I could think of. Like, I have a 15-year-old nephew and we talk about school all the time. And I don't be trying to like be that.
Like, you gotta go to Norfolk State.
Who entered college for this, they're freshmen right now.
Okay.
And it's not an HBCU, you know, but they know how I feel about it. And I was a little like, come on. But I definitely want my children to go to HBCUs. I want my children to go to HBCUs. Any affiliates of me, my first flight of education is Black education before all education. And it's just more so like giving it back to us. You know what I'm saying? So, D1 athletes or these superstars or people who are like high recruits who go to white schools. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? But imagine there's a dollar sign behind your name too. There's an I behind your name. Like, there's these big things. And imagine if you was to give all that back to your community. You know what I'm saying? Or for people who are like you, or people who understand you or get you, who are gonna like not look at the number. You know what I'm saying? So it's changing. Things are really changing now, and I'm happy for that. But like, I will always preach the, you know what I'm saying, the advocacy of HBCUs. Like I said, my nephew, we're talking about it now. Mm-hmm. He told me right now his top 3 school choices are all HBCUs.
Okay.
Like, you have to get them while they're young. Get them while they're interested in this type of stuff. Like, he spent numerous times at Norfolk State with me while I was going to school there, or like just, you know what I'm saying, working there, spend weekends and stuff like that. Like, talk to them, get them to come to games, like, you know, take them on tours. Like, this is the time that we have to start doing that, to instill in these kids' mind that by the time you're a senior, by the time you're a junior, you're not second guessing or thinking that the value of this school is less than elsewhere, because you've been there, you've met people, you know how it made you feel, you know how comfortable you feel when you're around. Like, you know, you know, athletic programs or different things to study. Like, we are just as compatible. We are just as, you know what I'm saying, smart. We have just as much talent as any other school out here, so we shouldn't be treated anything less than.
Right. And I love how you put that, how you said that you looked at it that way, because not only do you look at it, but other people who, if you've never been to an HBCU, you just would not understand.
That's very true.
You just wouldn't understand. It's just a whole different experience. And
it is. It is. It is. It really is. It's crazy. Open houses with me.
Open house was what?
Open houses with me. You know, like when you go like prior to your admittance into the school, they have like open houses and stuff like that, or like the I think it's called like open house or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, my aunt went to Norfolk State. She didn't finish, but she went there. And my mom went to Virginia State for a couple of years. She didn't finish either. But like I said, but even still, I didn't know that. Like, how is it I'm a full-blown teenager on my way to college and had no idea that any of this was going on?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like making sure that we know these things, like whether you finished or not, or whether that's something that you deal with in yourself. Like, tell your kids or get them out. Like, being active, being in the mix is important, you know, or getting them involved and stuff like that. But like, I had literally no idea. Like I told you, my mom, and this is another tidbit, all high school students, not all high school, I can't really necessarily say that, but I know from where I went to school, when you go visit a college, it's an excuse not to. So there should never be a reason that you can't go visit.
Why you can't go visit.
Right, or I can't go on this Tuesday because this is at a third. Like, no, it's an excuse absence. So set up a tour and go. My aunt set up something for like open house for me, because she was taking my cousin, who was like a year under me, who ended up going to Virginia State. So that was, she graduated from Virginia State. So we were going, and I just was like, be mindful. I didn't even want to apply to this school. My mom made me. She made me. Like, you are going to a lot of school. I'm like, okay. So I went to an open house, and literally when we got there, you know what I'm saying? Like, the campus, I'm like, it's cool. Like, it's cool, stuff like that.
Yeah,
It wasn't until I went into Wilder. I went to Wilder, like not performing arts, but it's like our theater space, or like a show hall, and the band. It was really the Legion, and I think that's why I love it. The Legion started doing that. And
yes.
I'm looking around like, oh my God, everybody.
Like, you like it with family. Y'all like, you feeling this? I'm feeling this. Like, come on.
Listen, and my tour guide was so sweet. They were so nice. Like, it just felt like family, and it felt right. Like, it felt like to see Black excellence in that realm. I've never seen that before, like ever. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen Black men dressed up in suits. I've never seen really, like, unless I'm going to church or like some formal event, but I didn't grow up seeing stuff like this. So like, women who are doctors, who are like have their PhDs under 30. Not that there's a time frame, but just like, you got 3 under 30.
Right.
I was just like in awe of like the Black excellence, and I was like, oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. This is it.
Yeah. And all right, so let me tell my experience of going to a HBCU. So I was one of those people who was like, I'm going to a HBCU. I don't want to go to no other type of college. I know this is what I want. I know this is my people. I know this is my community. I know what I like. But I didn't necessarily want to go to Norfolk State. I was like a North Carolina A&T, because Drumline is like my favorite movie. So I was like,
we need more of this, and that's the thing. Like, okay, I'm gonna get into that, but go ahead.
Yeah, so Drumline is my favorite movie. So that's why I was so like, I need to go to a HBCU. Also, I
Mm-hmm.
had binge watched. I had watched not In Living Color. What's the one with Whitley?
A Different
A
World.
Different World. Okay.
Yes, my favorite. It's like my favorite show ever. But yes,
I mean, how can you not watch that and not want to go to an HBCU?
that's
You know,
very
or
true.
how can you watch that and not want to go to an HBCU? So
Right.
all of those, like all of that was in my head. I already had what my experience was gonna be and everything.
Right.
And so I went to Norfolk State. I loved it. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like everything. Okay. The
You
you
never like everything.
never
That's
like
only
everything.
where you go.
Right.
And that's what my mom told me. She was like,
Mhm.
no matter where you go, it's not gonna be perfect anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. So I ain't like, everything, but the experience, the people, the
Mm-hmm.
community, the family, the different types of Black people, African people that you meet from all
Yeah.
different walks of life,
Yeah. Yeah.
you are not going to be able to find in many other places. Like it literally brings Black people from all different African people,
Yeah.
everybody from all the different African diaspora into one place. Like
Right.
that's crazy.
Right.
And you really get to learn
Very true.
and like you said, it feels like family.
It does.
And like what? Like I
Like
don't
they knew you before you
understand.
even got there. Like everybody there, your cousin.
Right?
I'm like, that's your cousin. Yeah, girl, that's my cousin on my Spartan side. So what's up? You my cousin on my Spartan side.
Yeah.
Everybody, we
Right? Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And then after you graduate, let you say, "Oh, you went to Norfolk State. I went to Norfolk State. What's up?"
It's even like love for all of them. I see
Yes.
like people. My current job now,
Mhm.
my regional manager interviewed me,
Mhm.
and in my second interview, she was asking about my experience and so on and so forth. So, I brought up Norfolk State, and she
Mhm.
was like, I went to Hampton. And I was just like, we rivals, but when you graduate, it's all love. It's all
Yes.
love. When you in
Yeah.
school, that's when it's beef. You like, nah,
Right.
we will.
Yeah.
What's up? What's up? What's up? But when you out of school, it's all love because at the end of the day, we all have the same agenda. We just
Yeah.
chose different paths.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do not listen to people when they tell you that HBCUs are less than, because
Right.
again, it's more than education. The education is important, but honestly, that is not the most important thing when you're choosing a college.
That's
It
very true.
is the experience that you gain and the people that you're going to meet, honestly, the connections that you make. So, and not to downplay Norfolk State's education, because their education is good too. But I'm just
Right.
saying, it's so much more than education.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
College in general is so much more.
Yeah. But what you wanted to say about Drumline?
Girl, not okay. I want to work in television. Like media is my thing. Like
Okay.
long term, I want to work in television and like create more content for people like us.
Yeah.
Being able things that are relatable, things that are proactive, things that are going to help us be better.
Please do. Please.
No,
do.
I got you. I got
Yeah.
you. Don't
Yeah.
you worry about it. That's my whole thing. Like I said, my whole faith over fear thing, like moving out here because it's like I need to be around the resources where I can do that.
Mhm.
But about Drumline, like it took me forever to realize that was kind of centered around EMT. I had no idea. And then like even still, like Morris Brown, like all just everything,
Yeah.
like, the whole grand scheme of things, like they had Greek life in there. They had the importance of the band, like the band at an HBCU.
Mhm.
Man, the band coming around everybody.
Right.
Like, it's crazy. It's almost like you feel like a professional team or something like that. Like we go crazy over the band.
Yeah.
So just kind of like teaching us that culture, like the differences between like, or how serious that the band takes it. Like it's not just we're playing musical instruments for scholarship money or anything like that. It's a love, it's a passion, like, and everything we're passionate. But like Drumline, like I said, it's one of the only HBCU movies that are like, or movies that are even really talking about that type of like, you know what I'm saying? Like
that really
atmosphere.
going to depth. Yeah.
Yeah. And A Different World is literally one of my favorite shows in the entire world. I have like maybe like 5 favorite TV shows in the world. I constantly watch it over and over again. I didn't watch A Different World until I graduated Norfolk State.
What?
So I know it's crazy. I wasn't really on, like I told you, I wasn't really like,
yeah.
I don't even know I don't know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? But I watched it during my, like, when you graduate and you have that moment where it's kind of like that little post-grad weird,
Yeah.
like that depression, post-grad, like, dang, like, I ain't waking up to go to class no more. Like, I'm back at home. Everybody gone. Like, it's just, now at this point, you're in the real world. And a different world helped me get through that. Like, I watched, that was my first time ever watching the show. Like, and every single episode I could relate to. I could relate to because I went to an HBCU and I just was like, wow, like, this really does happen. That happened. And it's crazy to see that, like, this stuff was happening back in like the 80s or like the 90s, whenever the show was shot, like, because it's like years later, here we are, just a modern version of it. So that's a huge goal of mine, to kind of just get that ready, like the educational piece, or that being able to like educate somebody differently in a way than just lecturing them or telling them how dope HBCUs are. I'm gonna give you a visual. I'm gonna give you an audio. I'm gonna give you something that you can see it. So that way, when you get to high school, you know already, like, I'm going to HBCU. And I know where, but I'm coming to an HBCU, period.
Right. Yes. Can't wait for that to come, because we need.
Yes, girl. Pray for me now. I got
it. So what do you say to people, because actually that was one of the episodes where Dwayne's friend, his friend from back in the day, he went to a PWI, and he's at an HBCU, and the friend was like, this is not real life. You're gonna have a skewed view of like what real life is. You know who I'm in class with? I'm in a class with CEOs of blah blah blah. And then Dwayne kind of got sidetracked and was like, oh my God, am I at the right thing? And then he saw like his community, like who was really there for him and what he actually was gaining. And he was like, no, I know who I am, and you can't tell me being with my people is wrong. Like, no. Right? So what you got to say to people who be like, not even, okay, so another thing. Okay, another point. So, when people say the teachers might give you slack or whatever because they're Black, you're Black. What you got to say about that?
One, all of my Black professors was on me like white on rice. So I don't agree with that necessarily. And I think if anything, look at your, like, the feel that you get from your professors, and all my professors were not Black. You know what I'm saying? I had white men as professors. I've had foreign professors, you know what I'm saying? So I can't even necessarily say that, like, even though it's historically Black, and like, it's not predominantly, it's predominantly Black, but that doesn't mean that is the makeup of the whole, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's plenty of students who come from different countries. I met some students from Turkey. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, this is pretty cool, like different countries and stuff like that. So we can't necessarily say that it's a skewed outlook on life. But you know what I'm saying? It's just, it's my preference. And if that's the case, then how is it that people don't have a skewed outlook on life in their neighborhoods? If you live in a predominantly Black neighborhood, how is that skewing your outlook on life? Or if you're a white person who grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood, how does that skew your, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to, at the end of the day, you're going to go out in the world. You're going to meet people. And situations are going to cause you to be able to think differently or approach a situation differently. It is what it is. It's just that you're spending the majority of your time around people that you're comfortable with, people that you know. You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily think that, like, in reference to that episode, I don't necessarily think that was right. You know what I'm saying? But people do think like that. You know what I'm saying? So what I would say to people who do think like that is, that's a minimal way of thinking. And I did at one point, I used to think that, like, my degree was more valuable at an ODU. That's where I wanted to go. What's for ODU? I thought my degree was more valuable at ODU versus at Norfolk State. But then also, it ain't just about the paper, like you said. What about this university has made me feel more confident as a young Black woman? What about this university has prepared me to go out in the world and know that I can sit across white counterparts, Indian counterparts, Asian counterparts, and not fear anything? Because I know that what I have to bring to the table, the education that I have, the experience that I have, has put me right here at the seat with you guys. And so what? You may have never heard of my university. So what? I don't care. Right? We're experienced. We were thorough, extremely hands-on, because the class sizes are smaller and my professors know my name.
Right, exactly.
Or they're willing to help me, or they're willing to go the extra mile, or they're willing to allow me to be an intern under their own business on the side. Like, it's those type of networks that you build that you may not necessarily be able to get at larger schools or other PWIs. You know what I'm saying? So it's more so, it's just like a family thing. Like, I'm gonna look out for you. Like, we're extremely make sure you're good. And when you graduate, I'm gonna check in. I still talk to my professors to this day.
Right.
Like texting, LinkedIn, you know, if I ever need a letter of recommendation, I still have those lines of communication open because it's all about building the relationships. Like I said, it's more than just the degrees, building the relationships. And so what? Like I said, so what is majority Black people? Okay, like these are people you don't want to be around, then this is what it is. But you know what I'm saying? It's also diverse too. We are put in positions to go on conferences, put in positions to be in a classroom with somebody who's from a completely different country. You put in positions, you know what I'm saying, to challenge and look at things differently. Sometimes we have classes that connect with like hybrid class, or that connect with ODU. You know what I'm saying? So you're in a class at ODU that's through no, y'all taking it together. So there's definitely ways to kind of like, you know what I'm saying, like diversify yourself. It isn't just black. It isn't like that, you know?
Yeah. And I want to speak to, because I do have both perspectives of like going to HBCU and then going to PWI. So I went to Norfolk State for 2 years, and then I had to change my major, and Norfolk State didn't have it. So I had to go to ODU. And I will say, it was not the same. It was not comparable. I was so disappointed. I mean, of course, I wasn't living on campus at ODU, so you know that's different. But just ODU is a much, like you said, much larger campus. There's just it's harder to connect with people. It's harder to know like people, you know, like it's harder to like be, you know, like get that relationship as the same that you get at Norfolk State. Like you said, I have way more connections through Norfolk State than I do from ODU, you know? So, and just the whole experience was just, it was just, it's not comparable. It was, I don't know what
it's funny because it's like a lot of like, I met these girls from who went to Southern, and they were saying how like Southern is relatively close to LSU. So a lot of times, and I'm from Richmond, so you have VCU, downtown Richmond, and literally right across the bridge, you got Union and North. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of places where you will have a major PWI, but then the HBCU not too far away, you know? But it's funny because it's like, y'all be at our campus. Y'all be at our parties. Y'all be at our block parties, our homecomings, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
but you didn't want to go to the school.
But you didn't want to come. Like the educational piece wasn't good enough. The social piece.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's interesting how you said that because like that's how I felt. Like I wanted to go to ODU and I was just like, But they love coming to our campuses. Or same thing, like the girl was saying, like the LSU students, or like the Black community at LSU, they love going to Southern. They always there, like hanging out to get culture is what she said, you know. And I thought that was so funny because I'm like, that is crazy because I had homegirls or homeboys who went to ODU who would want to come to our echoes or do stuff like that. And how do we think about going? I mean, we go out there to party with them sometimes, but nah, if I had to choose between your school party and my school party, it's my school party, and if you would choose, probably my school party too. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, like you said, it's just incomparable. It's just a different type of aura, it's a different type of feel. And it isn't necessarily that the other one is wrong, because it's not at all. And I don't down Blacks who go to PWIs. You know, I just feel like.
But also don't look down on HBCUs.
Yeah, never that. Yeah, because that's what you was never gonna do. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna do that to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, whitey school and do your whitey school, and that's cool. But you respect us. You know?
Right.
Definitely.
Right. All right, let me see what I got. Okay, so what do you feel like you personally gained? Like the biggest thing you personally gained from going to HBCU?
I would say, that's a tough one because I feel like I gained so much.
Yeah.
Like I would say two things. The two biggest things that I gained from going to a HBCU is one, confidence. I've always been a pretty like confident person. Like I've always kind of believed in myself, or you know, like I don't mind being in the front, taking ownership, being a leader. I never minded doing that.
Right.
The the confidence that the school gives you was on a whole other level. It almost makes you feel that like
Just you mean like in yourself or just in Black people in general?
Within myself, both personally within myself, but then like how we approach the world. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know, we talked about how the world can look down on HBCUs, like, or other people will make you feel less than. But like, I've never felt that way at that school. The only time I've ever felt that way is before I went to Norfolk State. Before I went there, but when I was there and everything after that, I've never felt that way. I've never felt that I was less than, or that when I just said when I step into a room that I'm just as dope as you are, Mr. Berkeley or Mr. Yale or Harvard or wherever you came from. Like, come on, we both got it. Like, it's almost like a sense of confidence that you get within yourself that it's almost like the competition doesn't even matter because I'm confident within the education that I've got, within the tools I've learned, within the experiences, being an SGA, being a student ambassador, you know, being an RA, like being a Spartan General, all these different things that you do to get involved in school give you these qualities, give you these diverse playing fields to work with other people. So the confidence has really, really taken me to another level. Like, and I mean like up here,
mentally,
like not even just how I can walk into a room or own a room, but like I can walk into the room, own a room, but then in my mind, like that's how I really feel. Like I'm not just faking this.
Right.
I really feel that I can walk out of here with a job. I feel like I can compete with you. Like I feel like I'm really that nigga. Like sorry, like you know. So period. Like, and then another thing that I've gotten from going to my HBCU is I've matured so much. The maturity, like I've matured so much. I feel like it's almost like a rags to riches type of thing, or like a diamond in the rough. I feel like I was a diamond in the rough. I felt like, you know what I'm saying? I had all the potential. I had all the leadership. I had all the drive and everything. And going there, they just took and polished me up, wiped off my dirt, wiped off my traumas, wiped off some of the things that I struggled with, some of the things that I may have not thought I was, capable of doing, my debt, my money, not knowing where the next one gonna come from, not knowing if I'm gonna be able to be here next semester. Like it just every single trial and tribulation I went through, I just was getting polished up. And by the time I graduated, it was like, you know, this beautiful like diamond or this beautiful jewel that like, here you are. And then you go back to grad, it's like, woo, even shinier. With the work there, I was like, oh my God, like, who am I? Like, now as a young woman or as a young adult from my undergrad experience, my graduate experience, and my working experience there, of who I am now, it's, I'm not gonna say two completely different people because I'm the same person, but you want to talk about a complete 360, like my perspective, my views, the way I approach situations, the way I approach people, the way I listen, the way I watch, how open-minded I am now, because you're meeting people who come from all different walks of life, different situations, you know what I'm saying? And they're still persevering, they're still prevailing, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the level of fortitude that they just can't stop. Like we have to keep going. Like that is what my HBCU has taught me. And like life skills that I would carry on for the rest of my life. Like it's crazy. Like who I was. Seriously, who I was coming in, I was hot. Hey, I was off. I was a little ghetto. I was a little, you know what I'm saying? But like, I was just, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I had it in me, but like, someone to bring it out of you. And the confidence and like literally my maturity level, I was like on a whole other level. So I'm forever grateful.
Man, if that didn't make you want to go to a HBCU, I don't know.
Come on, I will life coach you. I will help you. You need help on applying the FAFSA. Seriously, like, and that's the thing, another thing. Like, we are all helpers. Like, I was the first gen college student. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know what I was doing. My mom didn't know what was doing. I was the first to go to school. Like, didn't know what was going on. You know, so it's hard and not knowing if you're gonna have the money for next semester. You know, they tell you you're gonna have to be out next week, or you know, say you about to get put on SAT, or your classes, you're not doing well. Like all of these tribulations that you face, like when you come out on the other end, you like, dang, that's crazy. It's crazy to like, I remember walking in my room, like, is this really it? You know?
Yeah, man. Sure. Yeah, man. So I want to speak to like again, let's go back to the family feeling that you feel, because I just want to say, like, how much of a difference it makes when you can relate to people,
Yeah.
and when you feel like people understand you, and
Right.
when you know that people know where you come, like, you see me, I see you, you know,
It's
it's
like
just
literally, it's just like an unspoken language. Like being Black is an unspoken language. It's like,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Oh, like we could be at an event together and you see some and I peep that you see some and we both people and we just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a thing, or
Yeah.
like I don't know you, but I'm calling you my sis. Like,
Right.
girl, like I'm talking to you like regular, like,
Right.
yeah, it's just a
It's
vibe.
just
Like, or
a
just
different type of vibe that you
it's
can't
completely different.
get from nowhere.
No,
you can't
it's
get
a
it.
completely different feel.
Yeah.
Completely different field. It's like the
Yeah.
understanding of like, and then a lot of us come from similar communities. So I
Hmm.
know like in Norfolk State and like many HBCUs because they're all along the East Coast for the most part. You know what I'm
Right, right,
saying? Like
right.
I know like Norfolk State has this heavy Richmond population. Now I'm from
Mm.
Richmond, so all these people from Richmond has this
Yeah.
heavy DC population. Like a
Yeah.
lot of people from like the Northern Virginia DCs, or like you got the tri-state people, the people from up north. Got a lot of
Right,
New
right,
York,
right. Yeah.
Pennsylvania's, like Delaware's that come down. We got students like the West Coast people, like these
Yeah.
connections to the Carolinas, like you got people from Florida, like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's just people everywhere, people from the Midwest, people from Texas. It's like people are just from
People
everywhere,
from
literally
abroad, everywhere.
all across the country. Like I said,
Hmm.
like, you got the Kenyans, you have Ethiopians, you have
Hmm.
people from Turkey, people from
Hmm.
Canada. I've met people from like everywhere. And I'm just like,
Hmm.
oh wow, it's just so different. So it's just like, you know what I'm saying? It's just super diverse, and it's a great feeling being able to kind of just like network with those people. And then not only those people from a larger scale, but those people internally from the same place that you are. So I understand where you're coming from. I understand your slang
Right.
or your ebonics or different little things like
Right.
that. Like picking up on some of the slang that people have from like 757 and
Uh-huh.
how 757 be like, we 804, like what's up? And then like all the people kicking with DC people, like everybody kind of hang together,
Yes.
we all intertwined. And it's just
Right. We all learn from each other. Yes.
literally my best friend, two of my best friends that I met at the school, one is from Jersey and
Mm-hmm.
one is from Richmond, didn't know them prior to. And now
Mm-hmm.
we're like, it's like I said, places to travel. My roommate,
Mm-hmm.
my current roommate
Mm-hmm.
is from San Diego, California. And
Mm-hmm.
I met her at Norfolk State.
Wow.
And she told me, if you ever want to come to California, like, you're just like, damn, I've been to California. I've never been on a plane. Like, I've never been to California. Like, you're really from California? Like, it's crazy. And I was like, if you ever want to come to California, just let me know.
Right.
And she did that. And I did go
Mm-hmm.
multiple times. And like, literally to this day, like, we're cool. Like, we live together. Like, it's crazy. Like, that came from the product of a melting pot of people just coming together. My first experiences, my only experiences to California were always with her.
Mm-hmm.
So who's to say I would have ever had a reason or would have had a California experience elsewhere? You know what I'm saying? Or being able to, visit your other friends who go to HBCUs and see what their culture is like. One of my best friends went to FAMU. You know what I'm saying? So I went to FAMU to see what that vibe is like. My cousin went to what they talking about at Virginia State, Hampton up the street, like literally just a melting pot of your people from different places. That's something you can always learn from people.
Right. Yeah. It is an amazing, enriching, enlightening, everything, all those adjectives that you
All
can use.
them.
Okay.
The whole nine.
Let me see. What was I about to say? Hold on. What do you think about? Okay. We're gonna take a little segue. No. I wanna do this one first. Okay. So when you was a resident assistant, so like you said, you had the experience of being a student yourself, and then you was a resident assistant.
Right.
And then you was in grad school. What's that position called? Was it still a resident assistant?
No, I was working there as a resident director.
Resident director. Okay. So student, resident assistant, resident director. What? All right. So from you first being a student, you gaining confidence in yourself, and then like you then being a resident assistant, and working, being with your peers, being able to help them, and then being a director, and then
Yeah, it's crazy.
Basically seeing girls, yourself in girls, the
For
girls
me,
who
who
are
were
younger
me?
than you. Right.
Who
Right.
were
But
me?
they
Listen,
younger, and then you get to
yeah,
enrich that. Like, just talk about that whole process a little bit of like being able to be that for younger women,
right,
Black women specifically.
right. Mentorship to me is extremely important. There's
Mm-hmm.
people who stepped in my life free of will, like just cause they
Mm-hmm.
saw potential in me as a person. So I always felt that I was extremely relatable to people. I can talk to anybody. I love people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
being able to kind of relate in that regard was always something like interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wanted to be an RA. I told my mom I was interested in being an RA when I was a sophomore, and she wanted me to apply so bad. And I was like, no, I am in SGA. I can't have too much on my plate.
Yeah.
Ooh. And then I became RA my junior and senior year, and both of those years I was in Towers.
Uh-huh.
At Nova State, Towers is like the
Hold on, hold
freshman Towers, right? So
on.
Towers is like the freshman hall. Like you see it from a mile away. Everybody's experience is Towers this, Towers that. Like
Right.
when's the Towers? Or like when old heads come back, like would you stay in the Twin Towers? Like it's
Yeah.
just Towers is like a huge staple at
Yeah.
Nova State.
Yeah.
So
They was
you know, like
located projects out of the campus, but you still wanted that experience.
everybody wanted to go to the projects.
Yeah.
You wanted to be there. You wanted to be there. If
Yeah.
you didn't, it's crazy. Like
Yeah, if you didn't live there, you was there. Yeah.
you were still there. Like you were there. And it was to the point where like all your friends were there, or you know what I'm saying? Like all the freshmen were there, all the activity is something going on outside.
Right.
So kicking in the parking lot or something. So as a freshman, I stayed there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of my friends, majority of my friends, like these nights we've had in the middle lobby or our lobbies, outside by the square. It was a square when I was in school. It wasn't the fountain? It's the fountain now. So like that's how you can tell the difference in the ages, because like if they call it like meet me at the fountain, then they're young Norfolk State, young. If it's meet me at the square, you OG Norfolk State. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like it's like an atmosphere that continues on. And being there, you know, I was all over the place. Like I said, my first time in college, I was a little high head, a little rough on the edges. But to come full circle, right? To remember the women who directed that building or who were in that building when I was a freshman or even when I was an RA, to now I'm sitting at the table left and right of my supervisors amongst them as the director of Towers. It's just, it really just blew my fucking mind. I'm just like, this is really crazy, because I think I went into Towers when I was 24. Yeah, I think I went to Towers when I was 24, 23 or 24. And oftentimes, like, parents are like, I'm looking for who's in charge. And I'm like, I'm in charge. You know what I'm saying? So it was crazy because I got mistaken for students a lot. I got tested a lot. Like some of the students, you know what I'm saying, because I look like them or because I sound like them, that they thought I was them, and I was never that. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, that building has built so much character in me. It's unbelievable. Or just being able to be like a mentor to my staff. You know what I'm saying? Being able to not only just have to learn how to run this building, the same building that I was doing the same tricks. I was doing the same thing, running the same scheme. So y'all can't, but then your parents be like, you can't do that to me because I done
already did it.
Like, what you mean? You be thinking like, you was not lit like that. But like, it really feels like that, you know. So my students will tell me things, or like my residents will talk about stuff, and I'm like, I know the game. I know how y'all running game. I'm already like 2 steps ahead of y'all because I'm not that far from y'all. One, and then two, you just can't, because been there, done that. I ran the game. I know the game. Play the game, orchestrate the game, administer the game. You just can't do me like that. You know what I'm saying? So being a mentor in that regard, like literally to this day, I still got some of my residents texting me. One of them just today asked me about RA applications, or just, can I talk to you? And I always open up, you know what I'm saying, a line of communication to kind of just be that person, because I wanted that person when I was in school. And I got that, you know, I got glimpses of that, like being able to kind of just be a Black woman who going after what it is that she wants to go after, who's confident, who loves herself, and don't know the game plan, but I'm figuring it out on my way. And just letting people know that you can do that as well. Like, you can be successful. You cannot have all the tools. You cannot have all the resources, and still finds a way to get out the mud and figure it out. So that building has really, or just the experience being able to go from a student to a faculty and staff member there in the same place that I ran around. It was crazy. Like I see so many girls, I see so much of me in them. And that's why I pour into them. I pick them up, I scoop them up, like, you know what I'm saying? Making sure that they know that ain't right. Like every situation doesn't call for me to reprimand you. Sometimes it calls for me to just talk to you. There'll be times where like people will break rules, and instead of me writing them up or instead of me giving them a fine, come talk to me in my office because what were you thinking? Like, did you think that was smart? Or sometimes we'll see them bawling, crying through the lobby. That doesn't call for a moment to just watch them go to the elevator. No, we were solid, like everything okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or situations, like whether it's a fight or something, like, why are you fighting? Like, what's up with you? Like, what's on your heart that's heavier than this person who just pissed you off? Because it's probably more than that. You know what I'm saying? So you sort of like understand the students and use my position of power to not always reprimand people or write them up or be the boss. Like, I'm still the boss in my own right. I'm still the boss and carrying it the way I need to carry it, because sometimes people just need people to talk to or understand them.
Right.
And people don't know how to communicate those things when they come from environments where you're used to fighting in your household. You're used to settling things in the street. You're used to meeting up in parks and doing what we got to do. You're used to, you know what I'm saying, like moving like that, but you're not used to like kind of getting it out of love. You're not used to someone telling you that, like, you know what I'm saying, I understand what you do, what you did. Like, I don't agree with it, nor do I expect it. But I'm gonna help you change your way of thinking. I'm gonna help you be like, you don't have to do it like this anymore. Or it's just literally like, and like I said, it goes back to the whole experience. Like, like I can't promise you that you get that everywhere. You can't get that love everywhere.
You can't. Everybody ain't gonna understand you. And I want to speak to that too, because when I was doing work study, and I used to work for Miss Marable. You know Miss Marable, but
she's just the sweetest.
Yeah, I have to. I'm gonna say this for myself. I'm going to message her because she was so like helpful to me, like with me working there. And like I remember a lot of people don't, expect it, but when I'm close to somebody, I'm really like, I share a lot. And so and so I would get in my feelings a lot, and I would be like, and she would really like, she would be so helpful. Like she would be like, it's okay. Like you're doing good, blah, blah, blah. And so, but that speaks to, again, of like the whole mentorship and the whole, like, this woman is like the busiest woman on campus. And the fact that she took the time to really listen to me at those times, again, that's very difficult to get at a PWI. Not saying you can't get it. I'm not saying you can't get it. But I'm saying it's difficult to get. And not just having somebody listen to you, but honestly understand where you're coming from, because they have lived a similar experience, because they can listen to you all day and night, but they're just like, I just don't understand why you would make that decision. I just don't get what made you like, do that. But if you've been through a similar situation, you'd be like, you know what? I get it, but still, you don't need to do that, So
just talking to them every moment, like I think I mentioned, every moment is not a moment to reprimand somebody. Sometimes you have to figure out what are teachable moments. You know what I'm saying? Like, what can I teach you in this moment that you really get it and know not to do that again? Or what can I really, how can I reach you? You know what I'm saying? I may not be, you know what I'm saying, from where you're from, or I may not have experienced those things that you have, but I may know somebody who have. You know what I'm saying? Or I may be able to relate elsewhere. So you're right, just being relatable, or just like, I can't explain to you what it's like to be a Black woman. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's either you get it or you kind of don't. Or you may get pieces. You may be a woman. You know what I'm saying? So you may understand that piece, or you may be a Black man who can understand that piece. But it's just like being able to have someone who looks just like you, who went to the same school as you went to, who understands it. It's just a different feeling.
Right. So, yes. So tell us, like, this is a little fun part. So tell us, you went to, those things where they be like, tell us you went to an HBCU without saying you went to HBCU. What's something?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me think. I could literally do this for forever. Um, okay, so which HBCU without, so tell us. I went to a place where sometimes you gotta sneak in to go see your friends and they at their place. That's just what that is. Or something like, I got an attitude if I missed the calf on Thursday or Friday.
Okay, because it's soul food.
Listen. Or like, what's another one? Or like,
go ahead.
Or like, the school's party. Like, you know what I'm saying? I went to the school's party or whatever, and you already know where the let out is gonna be at. You know what I'm saying? Back at the towers, like, or back at the trying to sneak into the suites or just different little stuff. So, oh yeah.
How about this? How about this? When you got your own dance to the cha-cha slide.
Oh no, you ready?
What?
Really? It is the HBCU slide because it's not. It is the Spartan shuffle. Okay. When I do that, look at that. It's the HBCU slide. No, it ain't. It's none of that. 700 Park Avenue, North Virginia 23504. Stop that.
No, okay. This is one for everybody. How about when everybody get up when, man, I got that swag.
No, I'm popping tag. Because man, I got that swag. Always that part. Seriously.
Yes.
Or, you know where I'm going to be at Friday from 12 to 2. Don't ask me. You know where I am.
Right.
I'm an activity. I'm on a smoothie and seriously.
I ain't gonna lie. That is one of the things that used to annoy me. I used to be like, yo.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all niggas don't get tired of partying?
Nope. Never. Our lives are parties. Literally, y'all could be hanging out in your room before you know it. 3, 4, 5 people that got invited, and these could be the same people on your hall, in your building, and it turned into a function, and we had no idea it was going to be like this.
Right.
Walking across campus at nighttime, in the middle of the night, just cause we bored, turned into a function. Parlaying outside in a parking lot, turned into a function. Meeting people from other schools turned into a thing. Like, we party everywhere we go. That's just how we are.
That's true. How about downstairs in the lobby playing spades?
Oh yeah. See, I was an Uno girl. But the spades games. Oh, don't let it be a whole programming on a spades tournament.
Yeah.
Don't let it be a tournament because, or like they have like the game systems.
Yeah.
Where they be having like tournaments and stuff like that, 2K tournaments and stuff like that, and all the dudes in the lobby. You know, you trying to walk past the little dude got a little crush on or whatever.
Right.
Not in the game, like, you know what I'm saying. So it's really like it's literally like we all grew up together. It's the craziest thing.
It's like you go to school with all your family and distant cousins and cousins from another country and cousins from another state and cousins. Everybody.
Yeah, because everybody.
And your auntie's there and your uncle's there and you know your adopted godmother and then your
everybody.
That's just what it is. That's just what
right.
It is.
Or even that one person who's always around that you thought was your cousin, but it ain't your cousin, but they're your cousin because you thought they was your cousin.
Right. Like, why you here? You even go to school here? Like, why you here?
Literally.
I'm weak. Yeah.
You don't even know what the relationship is, but you just call them cousin because it works. So, yeah, that's my cousin. What are you? How y'all related? I don't know, but we grew up together.
Right. Just know that we cousins. I don't even know.
Yes.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, I think that was it. I think that was
Oh, that was great.
Yeah. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you for having me here. You know, I was, when I saw your DM, I was just like, oh my God, like, yeah. And like I said, we were already keeping up with each other because of the podcast and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm tapped in and I'm here to promote in any way that I can. And whenever you need anything on subject matter, I'm down to help. Like, one helping the next. That's the whole point. Like, that network, that connection, like a sis helping a sis. My cousin on my father's side. Like, we know this already.
Right.
You know? I'm down. I'm
Yes.
happy. I'm honored to be here. Yay! This is great.
Yes. I'm so glad that you came, and I
Thank
support
you.
you full whatever you're doing too. And I'm gonna be on the lookout
So
for those movies, TV shows, whatever you're
I
doing.
got you. I got
Okay.
you. I got
All right, because we need it, like we said, and it's so important. And don't listen to people who say that HBCUs are not important. Because if you just listen to this whole podcast, so you already
you. Right.
know that ain't
Right.
the truth. We don't even need to talk about
Right.
that no more.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, Jasmine, what you want to leave us with for last words?
My last words would be to support HBCUs,
Mm-hmm.
support Black colleges, support Black universities, support Black brands,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and everything Black. Like, pro Black is not anti anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It's simply pro Black. And if you have people, you have the attention of young people who you see have potential in something, or you see have the sense or the knowledge or want to make something better of themselves, then use that. Then that
Mm-hmm.
is what you were there for. So mentorship, helping each other, each one teach one. And follow me on Instagram, Sonny Forbes, SONNY.Forbes, and my
Mm-hmm.
podcast is Sonny School the Podcast. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and just keep up with the kid because I'm cool, I'm lit. You know what I'm saying?
No,
I'm just
legit.
cool.
Jasmine is definitely one of those people, like she said, who just gets along with everybody, and she just
I love
has
people.
an amazing personality. So follow her. Yes, of course. Follow her. Check out her stuff, and yeah,
Definitely.
get with it. Okay,
Always.
and we gonna end it there. So
Yeah.
remember that your refuge is in your self healing. So please heal yourself to find your refuge. Okay, peace.